Her boyfriend secretly set up a loyalty test with the help of her own best friend. But what they didn't see coming was that she found out everything and flipped their little game into a brutal payback they'd never forget. Want to know what really happened next? Let's dive into this story and ask yourself, what would you do if you were her? Mira wasn't the kind of woman you'd notice in a crowd. She didn't dress to impress. She wasn't quick to smile. And she definitely wasn't the type to hit the gym just to snap mirror selfies. She walked onto the mat like she had business to handle. Silent, focused, no small talk, just warm-ups, hand wraps, and waiting for her turn. No one in the room, not even her opponent, thought she'd drop him in under 2 minutes. But that's exactly what happened. A clean, deep left hook that shut the whole gym up. The guy hit the floor before he even knew what happened. Mira stepped back, took off her gloves, gave her coach a nod, and headed to the locker room like it was just another leg day. Trevor was there that day, standing near the coaching platform, smirking, nodding, but his eyes locked on Mira, unblinking. He'd done a few years of amateur fights, won some, lost some. Good technique, decent form, and more than enough confidence. But that afternoon, Trevor didn't feel so confident. He knew he'd just seen something different. Not because Mira was strong, but because of the way she controlled the moment. Cold, sharp, no flash. That same afternoon, Trevor made his move. He approached her, pretending to ask about defense techniques. Mira gave one short answer. Keep your hands up. Don't get so busy hitting that you forget to guard. Then walked away. He didn't take it personally. Trevor kept showing up whenever Mira trained, warming up with her, lifting with her, sparring with her. She didn't always respond, but she never shut him down. She let him be there. Bit by bit, they became a thing no one said out loud. No kisses, no hand-holding, but everyone knew there was something between them. Something more than teammates. Trevor started shifting his teaching schedule to line up with Mira's. He brought her protein bars after training. They'd review sparring footage together, give each other feedback, shared meal prep plans, set goals. Less fat, more muscle, no sweet talk. Just sweat, heavy breathing, and the sound of punching bags echoing in silence. Mira didn't like personal conversations. She never talked about her past, never asked about his. Trevor was the opposite. He'd loved before and been betrayed. He told stories from back then, like he was trying to say, I've been hurt, but I'm good now. Mira didn't comment, but she listened, and for Trevor, that was enough. Still, not everything ran smooth. Trevor was attractive, and he knew it. He used to date blonde girls who loved posting gym selfies, who lit up when you complimented their squat form. Mira wasn't like that. She didn't wear makeup, didn't check in, never flexed her abs for the camera. To her, a punch was a punch, a workout was a workout, and life was just life. That made Trevor both drawn to her and a little frustrated. He couldn't read Mira, didn't know what she was thinking, didn't know if she truly belonged to him or was just walking beside him for a while. One time, he joked, if I broke my leg and couldn't train anymore, would you still like me? Mira looked him dead in the eye. If you've got nothing left to train for, then who are you? Trevor laughed it off, but he didn't sleep that night. Their relationship, if you could even call it that, moved quietly. No 1-month anniversaries, no bouquets delivered to the gym. But Mira always brought an extra water bottle for Trevor. And Trevor always wiped down the gloves before handing them to her. In their world, that meant more than any love confession ever could. At the gym, people started calling them the knockout couple. No one said it to their faces, but it was obvious. Trevor was more focused, talked less, and stood up a little straighter every time Mira walked in. As for Mira, she didn't change her look, but she started staying later after training. Sometimes, she'd just sit and watch Trevor coach his students. Didn't say a word. But she didn't leave early like she used to. They weren't a typical couple, but whatever held them together didn't need a label. Every time a heavy bag shook from a clean hit, Mira and Trevor moved a little closer. Not with words, but just by being there. Ever since Trevor and Mira started getting closer, the gym began to shift too. The rumor about the knockout couple spread fast, but what really packed the place wasn't the romance. It was the energy, the focus, the results. Trevor capitalized on it. He added new classes, hired assistant coaches, ran ads showing high-energy boxing sessions, sweat pouring off sun-kissed skin, muscles in motion. New faces poured in, especially women, young, athletic, direct eyes, comfortable with physical contact. They didn't just come to train, they came to be seen, to connect, to be part of the place everyone was talking about. Trevor didn't ignore the attention. On the contrary, he started leaning into it. Polite greetings turned into playful, suggestive jokes. "If you keep hitting like that, I might actually go down." "No knee needed," he said to a new female student, tilting his head with a grin. She laughed. No one said anything. But Mira was there. He started teasing the young assistant too, a quick, talkative girl who always forgot to wipe down the treadmill. Trevor would joke, "If you forget again, I'm making you spar with Mira." People laughed. Mira didn't. She didn't speak up, didn't get jealous, didn't complain. She just quietly changed her break routine, stepping outside for water instead of staying in the staff area. She stopped looking at Trevor when he joked, stopped answering small questions like, "Hey, did you see that redhead who signed up yesterday?" She'd just shrug, turn away. The silence between them started to grow. Not loud, but cold. Trevor didn't notice, or maybe he just chose not to. He was riding a high, packed classes, solid income, everyone wanted to train with him. He laughed more, talked more, loved telling stories, bar fights, ex-girlfriends, the time he almost made it on TV for a perfect knockout. Meanwhile, Mira trained like always. But the look in her eyes as she hit the bag, it wasn't just focus anymore. It was like she was holding something back from exploding. She'd been with this gym since it was just a repurposed garage. She remembered every floor tile change, every late-night shift. Trevor. He was out here bragging about a sponsorship deal probably coming any day now. Trevor used to be different, quieter, easier to wear out, not great at talking to women. There was a time when the only place he felt confident was when Mira was standing nearby. Now he stood in the center of a crowded gym, telling stories like a show host. Voice loud, shoulders wide, but everything was starting to drift off the ground. And Mira. She was the only thing keeping him grounded. Not with words, with presence, with the look that made him double-check the heavy bag straps before class, with the habit of showing up 5 minutes early to check the room temperature before students arrived. She never had to say a thing. She just did it. And Trevor used to be grateful for that. Lately, though, he forgot, or assumed it would always be that way. He started treating Mira like part of the equipment, always there, always right, always available. Meanwhile, the new girl's eyes sparkled, and they were easier to read. Mira still said nothing. But for the first time in almost a year, she turned down an invite to grab food after training. Said she had something to do, didn't say what, and didn't come back afterward. Trevor didn't ask, or maybe he wondered, but chose not to. He was too busy laughing with other people, too busy thinking he was on the rise. But the narrator sees it clearly. Somewhere in those leaps forward, he lost his balance. And the one thing that had kept him steady all along was stepping back, no longer interested in holding him up. Once Mira started pulling out of their shared moments, the space between her and Trevor was no longer subtle. It showed, in the silence, in the way she shook her head instead of agreeing, in the cold flicker in her eyes whenever Trevor tossed out another hollow joke. He felt it. But instead of pausing to ask, to fix, he chose another path. A worse one. One quiet afternoon, after a group session, Trevor sat down with an old friend. Marcus, the guy who used to box with him back in their teenage years, lost to Trevor in almost every sparring match, but never lost his sense of clarity. They sat in the office space, window cracked open, gym music thumping faintly in the background. Trevor stared out the window, then said it flat. No hesitation. "I want to test Mira." Marcus winced. "Test how?" Trevor turned back, eyes sharp like he was planning a new training session. "There's this new guy, a student, clean look, tall, serious about training. I'm thinking, let him get close to Mira." Marcus was quiet for a few seconds, then said it, slow and clear. "You mean, bait her?" Trevor shook his head, not in some sleazy pickup way, just enough to see if there's another guy talking to her, showing interest, would she lean that way? Marcus narrowed his eyes. "Why? You don't trust her?" Trevor sat up straight. "It's not that I don't trust her. I'm just not sure. She's too cold, like she doesn't need anyone. I want to know, if one day I lose everything, money, the gym, my name, would she still be there?" Marcus didn't say anything for a few seconds. Then he stood up. "I'm not part of this. That idea is messed up. Trevor didn't stop him, just nodded, like everything was already mapped out. He didn't need Marcus. He could handle it himself. The plan began in silence. Trevor quietly adjusted Mira's shifts, moved her into time slots with fewer people, easier to watch. Then he pulled the new student aside, a guy named Kyle. Tall frame, soft-spoken, Trevor made a casual suggestion. Nothing forced. She's the manager here, but also the strongest woman in this place. If you want to learn more, start a conversation with her. Kyle, whether by coincidence or design, started showing up whenever Mira was on shift. He asked questions that didn't really need answers. Do you think I should work more on shoulders or legs? Have you ever competed for real? Has anyone here ever dated a coworker? At first, Mira responded briefly, professionally, but then she noticed the pattern, the repetition, the familiar glances, the way Kyle smiled, looked around, hesitated before asking the next thing. She didn't react immediately, didn't get angry, but a quiet alert went off in her mind. One morning, while starting the coffee machine in the office, Mira noticed her mug, already washed and sitting neatly on the counter. She said nothing, just picked it up, inspecting it. It wasn't the first time she felt someone had been in there before her. Lately, the door latch had been loose. Some mornings, the desk lamp was still on. Mira wasn't superstitious, but she believed in subtle shifts, and she knew something was being arranged around her. That afternoon, Mira went to an electronics store near the shopping center. She bought a small camera, hidden style, remote access capable. She installed it in the corner of the office, a spot with full view and sound coverage of the desk and the door. No one knew. No one was told. Mira didn't ask anyone, didn't mention Kyle, didn't confront Trevor. In the days that followed, everything continued as if nothing had changed. Kyle kept coming, kept asking. Trevor kept watching from a distance, like a director of a silent play. Mira kept answering. Polite, professional. But every time she returned to her desk, plugged her phone into the computer, a new clip downloaded. Footage, audio, conversations, and then one recording. In the video, Kyle spoke quietly, not looking toward the camera. "I'm just doing what the coach told me," he said. "He said you're special, so I should see if I could get close." Mira didn't react. She just nodded once. The video ended with the soft scrape of a chair and silence. But for Mira, that was enough. No need to ask more. No need to confirm. She already knew what she had suspected was true. Trevor didn't just mistrust her. He had orchestrated a secret test, roped in someone else, and believed she wouldn't find out. She did, and she stayed quiet. But it was the kind of quiet that comes before a punch. Not to anyone's face, but one that would hurt. Bad. Mira didn't say a word to Trevor after the clip ended. No questions. No confrontation. It was too clear. In a call just under 4 minutes long, Trevor's voice was unmistakable. Calm, calculated. Each word landing like it was written for a script. A script for a little game, where she was the one being measured. Just approach her naturally. She's not easy to sway, but if you steer the conversation right, she'll open up. Start with boxing, then slowly shift to personal stuff. Don't rush it. She hates cocky flirting. You need patience. "I just want to see, if I wasn't in the picture, who would she choose?" Kyle's voice on the other end was hesitant, but eventually he agreed over the phone. "Got it. I'll try not to overdo it." Mira listened to that part 3 times. Not to cry, not to feel hurt, just to make sure she carved it into memory. Exactly how deep Trevor's doubt had gone. Deep enough to set a trap. Deep enough to use someone else. Deep enough to stage a whole performance behind her back. As if she were a problem to test, not the person who helped him build this gym from the days when there was no AC and water leaked from the ceiling. But Mira didn't choose rage. She didn't slam doors, didn't storm into his face. She spent 3 days preparing, clipped the video, trimmed it clean, replayed the clearest moments. Trevor assigning the shift schedule, Kyle repeating the instructions, Mira sitting still, staring straight into the lens like she knew someone was watching. By Wednesday afternoon, Mira sent a message to the entire gym staff. Internal meeting, 4:30 p.m., main floor, full attendance. No explanation, no context. Trevor got the message like everyone else. He even thought Mira might want to talk about launching a new class. Her morning sessions had started filling up again. She didn't seem tense, no warning signs, but he forgot one thing. Mira wasn't the type to telegraph a punch. At exactly 4:30, the lights in the main training area came on, full brightness. Every staff member was present, assistants, coaches, all of them. Even a few students stuck around, hovering to the side, curious. Trevor showed up 2 minutes late, still smiling, still shaking hands. Mira didn't stand on the coaching platform. She stood dead center on the mat, remote in hand. No microphone, no speech. She turned on the big screen, the one normally used for demo breakdowns during coach training, and hit play. First came the clip of Kyle sitting in the lounge, speaking on the phone. His voice was clear. "I'm just doing what the coach told me." People started glancing at each other. Then came Trevor's voice on the other end, echoing like it had crawled out from a place no one expected to hear in public. Each of Trevor's instructions played out. His tone was calm, like he was running a standard workout. Start with boxing, then shift to personal life. No insults, no yelling, but every word carried intent. Every step, calculated. The screen shifted to Kyle again, repeating Trevor's guidance as he chatted with Mira. She didn't speak, didn't flinch, just watched. Silent. Then the final scene. Mira in the office, placing her phone on the desk, looking straight into the camera, like she knew someone, somewhere, was going to need to see that look. The video ended. The screen went black. The room was dead silent. Trevor stood in the third row, half shadowed behind a column. No one looked directly at him, but everyone knew he was there. He didn't move. His shoulders slumped, his back curved slightly, like he was trying to shrink. No one said a word. No one laughed. No one asked Mira anything. No one reached out to Trevor. The feeling in the air wasn't anger, it was disappointment. The heaviest kind. The kind you feel when you realize that the person leading your team, your community, was the same one orchestrating something filthy behind the back of someone who built it beside him. Trevor didn't react. Didn't storm out. He just stood there, like his brain hadn't caught up to the reality yet. Mira remained in the center of the mat, still silent. She didn't need to speak. The video had said everything. After the video ended, no one saw how Mira left the gym. She didn't return to the office. She didn't speak to anyone. The training floor lights dimmed gradually as people filed out in silence. Trevor was the last to leave. No one watched him go. The next morning, Mira arrived at the gym right on time. Same gray hoodie, same water bottle. No one dared approach her. She walked straight into the manager's office and left behind a neatly folded envelope. Inside, a resignation letter. Signed, effective immediately. She didn't ask to hand anything over, didn't bring up what happened. Not a single complaint. When she walked out the front door, no one stopped her, but a few people stood from a distance, watching, like they were waiting for someone to call her back. Only no one had the courage. Trevor wasn't there that morning, or if he was, he didn't come out to face her. Since the day he was exposed, he'd practically disappeared. No coaching, no presence in the morning classes. Some said he was in meetings with upper management. Others whispered he was holed up at home, too ashamed to show his face. No one knew for sure. But one thing was crystal clear. Mira was gone. And she left the same way she had lived. Quietly, but with finality. Only one sentence remained. The single thing she said directly to Trevor right after the video ended, before walking off the training mat. "If you want to test my loyalty, try testing your own first. Did you pass?" No one recorded it. No one had their phones out. But that one sentence spread faster than the entire video ever did. It was repeated in the locker rooms, whispered around the lounge, quoted in the staff group chat. No one joked about it, no one added commentary, because the line hit too hard. And everyone knew Trevor had no answer. 1 week later, simple posters started appearing around a nearby community center, just a few blocks away. Boxing training taught by Mira, back to basics. No logos, no sponsors, no flashy slogans, just a set schedule. 3 morning sessions, 2 in the afternoon, limited spots. The class filled up in 2 days. Many of Trevor's former students began showing up at the community center. No explanations, no questions. They arrived, filled out the forms, and started training from scratch. No one brought up the past. But the way they looked at Mira said everything. They had picked their side. No new heavy bags, no air conditioning, just a concrete floor, bring your own towel. And Mira, standing dead center. No mic, no barked commands. She counted reps with her hands. Taught technique with her eyes. Every time she said again, the whole class reset. No one complained. No one could. Because everyone there knew she'd restarted from zero, and did it without losing an ounce of respect. Marcus showed up on the third session, brought his old gloves and a workout mat with frayed edges. He didn't say a word when he walked in, just nodded at Mira and moved straight to his spot. After training, he stayed behind to help wipe down the floor. No one asked him to. No one had to. From that point on, the community center, once just a forgotten little space, started filling up. Not loud, not rushed, but steady. Like people who were done with the performance and ready to find something real. Meanwhile, the old gym began losing its pulse. Trevor returned after a few days away, but the energy was different. Classes weren't packed anymore. Several time slots got canceled. People whispered, no one said anything to his face, but the vibe had shifted. Punches didn't land with the same conviction. The music no longer sparked motion. The whole place felt faded, and just 15 minutes apart on foot, one space was quietly coming undone, while the other was building itself back from scratch. Solid, slow, but real. Trevor knew Mira had started her own classes. He didn't try to stop her. Didn't congratulate her either. But with every student who left his gym, every person who quietly walked out and never came back, Trevor felt it. Each step away was another crack in the foundation he once believed was untouchable. The gym Trevor once proudly called his little empire started to feel hollow just weeks after Mira walked away. At first, it was the familiar faces, disappearing without warning. Then the morning classes dropped to half capacity. The sign-up board thinned out. Time slots that used to be overcrowded now sat wide open. Trevor tried to recover. Discounts, free sessions, even handing out vouchers to new clients, but nothing brought back the old energy. Everything looked the same. Machines still polished, music still playing that same curated playlist, but the spark was gone, and people don't come to a gym just to look at it, they come to feel something. And that feeling had followed Mira out the door. 1 month later, word spread that Trevor had pulled his investment. Assistant coaches began quitting, one by one. The juice bar shut down, no one around to cover midday shifts. Posters with Trevor's face quietly came down. No one asked why. There was no official announcement. No farewell message. The gym closed exactly 2 months after the day Mira left. Trevor disappeared around the same time. No more sightings at the usual coffee spot. No more stories in the gym group chat. His social media went quiet. People who used to be close to him didn't know where he'd gone. And slowly, they stopped asking. The silence didn't come because anyone told them not to speak. It just settled. Like all loud dramas do. Once the lead vanishes, the noise fades too. No one needed to spell anything out. Everyone who had witnessed it understood in their own way. Some scars don't need to be reopened to keep hurting. They just stay there, quiet and deep. As for Mira, she never spoke about the past. No one ever heard her mention Trevor's name again after the day that video played. Not during class, not on breaks, not even in passing when talking about torn punching bags or slick mats. She lived like that chapter was a finished workout. Not erased, just folded and filed away. She still showed up to the community center right on time, opened the doors 15 minutes early, like always, replaced the training mats, checked the water cooler, wiped down the doorknobs with a disinfectant cloth. No one asked her to. She didn't need recognition. But the routine continued, steady, quiet, intentional, as if life at its core just needed one consistent rhythm to keep trust standing firm. The classes grew more consistent, never too full, never too empty. Just enough for Mira to remember every name. She knew who was left-handed, who still needed work on their back foot, who lost steam if they weren't encouraged at the right moment. She didn't give flowery praise. But when she said, "Good job," her eyes locked in, and whoever heard it knew she meant it. One day during a break, a new student asked casually, "You used to teach somewhere else, right? Why'd you leave?" Mira just gave a small smile. "I used to teach where people were more into testing each other than training." It floated by like a joke. But the old students heard it and understood. No one added a word. Now Mira didn't need anyone to validate her worth. She didn't need loyalty to be measured like some psychological exam. Didn't need trust to be handed to someone who'd turn around and use it as bait. All she needed was a heavy bag, a solid pair of gloves, a clean floor, and people who came to train, not perform. She had once stayed silent when cast in the role of the one being tested, but that was the last time. Now, if anyone still doubted her, she had nothing to prove. Their doubt was enough to disqualify them. They removed themselves with their own suspicion. And when she stood in the middle of class, correcting a student's footwork, Mira didn't need to reflect on the past to feel stronger. She was strong, not because she hit harder, but because she no longer had to defend herself from the person who once stood beside her. No one would get to test her again. No one would get a second chance to try. And she didn't have to say that out loud. It was obvious in the way she moved, the way she carried herself. Steady, calm, never looking back. Some say if you feel the need to test someone's loyalty, you've already lost the trust to move forward. And if you have to stage an entire act just to see who's real, then maybe the only one pretending was you. Trevor chose suspicion over trust. He didn't lose because Mira walked away. He lost the moment he set the trap and fell into it himself. As for Mira, she didn't fight to prove anything. She just walked away, light, firm, like someone who doesn't need to be accepted to know her own worth. In life, the hardest tests don't always come from enemies. Sometimes they come from the person standing right next to you. And the real lesson? It's not always in the punch. It's in how you rise and walk away from the places that no longer deserve to hold you. What about you? If you were in this story, would you stay or would you walk? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to support our channel. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for listening.